I apologize for being a couple minutes late. The Republicans were having a conference, and along with Mr. Biggs and Mr. Perry, we had to stay there a little late because Speaker McCarthy was giving a spellbinding speech, and we couldn't get away. Make sure you tell him I said that. Without objection, the chair may declare a recess at any time. I recognize myself for the purpose of making an opening statement. Good morning and welcome to the witness, Director Marcos. Thank you for your attendance and participation in today's hearing on ensuring the safety of unaccompanied alien children. President Biden's open borders agenda has created a humanitarian crisis that encourages the trafficking of migrant children into the United States. Since the first day he assumed office, President Biden has worked to roll back the deterrences focused on policies that worked under the Trump administration to maintain operational control of the southwest border and reducing the number of people who were coming here in the first place. As a federal judge recently commented on the Biden administration, it has effectively turned the southwest border into a meaningless line in the sand and little more than a speed bump for aliens entering this country. The judge stated that the actions of the Biden administration were like posting a flashing "come in, we're open" sign at the southern border. In fiscal year 2021, the Department of Homeland Security made over 1.7 million encounters with inadmissible aliens on the southwest border. In 22, the number rose to 2.4 million. Cartels have exploited President Biden's disastrous border policies to create one of the largest human trafficking and smuggling operations in the world. Cartels charge illegal border crossers a fee for the right to cross through Mexico and across our southern border. Border Patrol agents have told me that the cartels charge $5,000 to $10,000 to individuals from the Western Hemisphere and $18,000 or more for individuals from Asia, including Chinese nationals, for the right to cross our southwest border. While most illegal border crossers are single adults, many are children, more than 250,000 in the past 2 years. And the cartels charge them and their families money as well. Not surprising, with so many more people crossing the southern border, a lot of unaccompanied minors are coming across as well. The Florida Department of Children and Families published results from interviews conducted with 49 unaccompanied children about how they entered the United States. The interviewed children knew little about the individuals who brought them at the southwest border. They just described them as coyotes. So that's what we have. People that the kids don't even know, being brought apart by people they don't know. One child detained during her journey in the southwest border, said several members of her group were robbed, attacked by gang members, decapitated, or raped. The child disclosed that she herself was a victim of rape. Again, we have a humanitarian crisis along the border that this administration created. The Department of Health and Human Services has a statutory obligation to care for unaccompanied alien children referred into its custody by the Department of Homeland Security. It must also ensure these children are placed in the care of appropriate sponsors in the U.S. who are capable of providing for their physical and mental well-being. Too often that's not happening. Instead, reports indicate that Secretary Becerra is pushed to instill a culture at ORR that prioritizes, quote, assembly line speed in releasing unaccompanied alien children to poorly vetted sponsors across the country to the detriment of our children's safety. And I'll tell you, it's particularly aggravating to see all these kids come across the border and have the press not cover what's going on when these kids may never see their parents again. And just a few years ago, we had the press screaming about broken families. Director Marcos's predecessor was reportedly threatened with dismissal from what Secretary Becerra considered to be insufficient numerical discharges of unaccompanied children in ORR custody. She resigned shortly thereafter. Reports reveal that many of these poorly vetted sponsors exploit children once in their care. A Florida statewide grand jury identified several abuses of migrant children in sponsors' care. The grand jury found evidence of unaccompanied children fleeing sponsors who were selling them for sex. One was found to have been offered sex to men by her aunt, who she never met before. One unaccompanied child reported that their sponsor had previously been sent for prison for felony battery of a child. They found out that unaccompanied children were dropping out of school and worked to pay cartel debts. Remember, a lot of these kids had to pay their way or go into debt to the cartels to come in this country. You got to think, how are they paying off that debt? A recent New York Times report indicates that nearly 2/3 of all unaccompanied minors work illegal full-time jobs, likely to pay off their debts to cartels for smuggling them into the country and to sponsors for providing basic necessities such as food and housing. Today, I want to find out a little bit more how the unprecedented levels of illegal border crossings, incentivized by President Biden's policies, have led to historic encounters of unaccompanied alien children that have overwhelmed ORR and endangered migrant children. We will also examine ORR's efforts moving forward to ensure adequate care and safe discharge of these children into the care of appropriately vetted sponsors, and we also want to find out what efforts are being made to reunite these children with their parents.